Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nathan back with another video for you today. And today we got the next episode of Power Surge, which is our 2025 NFL Power Ranking Series. Today we're going to be breaking down 3 weeks of football. I know I haven't posted in a while, so this is going to start from our preseason rankings, headed into where I kind of have them ranked now. Before we go ahead and get into that, though, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Share this video with someone that you know that is an NFL diehard. And then go ahead and comment down below. Am I too high? Am I too low, or am I just right on your favorite team? But hey, let's just go ahead and get straight into it. And first off, we're going to be starting at our bottom tier, tier 7, just plain bad. I mean, these teams really have no redeemable qualities. They kind of just suck all around. Starting off 32nd ranked Tennessee Titans, currently 0-3 on the schedule. And based on the way they're playing, I'm really not expecting them to start throwing some wins in the win column. So they're dropping down 6th. I originally had them at 26th because I was expecting more. I mean, really from the entire team, obviously, but I was really expecting this defense was going to be solid, keep them in games, and then Cam Ward was going to be able to do some exciting stuff and potentially help them steal a couple games. And especially down the stretch, I thought this team would figure some things out and be somewhat competitive. But I mean, at this current rate, I just don't see that happening. I mean, Cam Ward's had a couple flashes of brilliance, but he's not been great. These playmakers still are not very dynamic. I don't think Callahan's doing anything really exciting with this offense. And now that your defense is starting to get gashed, like, I mean, what do you expect at this point? Like, just got really nothing to hang our hat on. So, disappointed to say all around. And that's kind of just, I think they've shown less than any other team in the NFL, hence why I have them. Now, next up, I have the New Orleans Saints, also in our tier 7 of just being plain bad. And I mean, one of the worst defeats on the week, which is crazy that you lost by 31 and we're not the worst defeat on the week. Ultimately, this game just got entirely away from them, but at least I feel like they've shown a little bit more in the first 2 weeks of the season than I think Tennessee has. I mean, Spencer Rattler is clearly not the guy of the future. And either side of the ball has kind of just been okay, I guess. I mean, they had a chance to win against San Francisco. Theoretically, they were in the game against Arizona, so at least they've been in more of these games, but I'm really just not expecting a whole lot from the Saints team either. I do think, at least on the bright side, you have Kellen Moore, so at least you're kind of trending up for your organization as opposed to, the Titans who are trending down. So that is kind of just why I have them here at 31. Now, next up, we have the New York Football Giants kicking off our next tier. I'm kind of just being bad, but not like bad, bad. You know what I mean? Like these teams are not great, not really playoff threats, but at least they're horrible. And so the Giants are kicking that off. I had them ranked 27th on our initial power rankings. They're dropping down to 30, have yet to win a game. But at least the reason why I have them and not the just plain bad group is because at least they almost beat the Cowboys, which, granted, from what we're learning about the Cowboys' defense, doesn't really mean a whole lot that he put 37 on them. But at least they showed 1 week of being competitive and almost winning a game, unlike the two previous teams. But we're really seeing that week 2 against the Cowboys was a huge fluke. Again, they were not able to get anything going on offense, and now they're benching Russell Wilson and going to Jackson Dart. This truly feels like Brian Daboll's last desperation attempt to try to save his job. But at least Malik Neighbors and Cam Scatabo are looking like studs. So at least you got two good players there. But you're just still not moving the ball very well in offense. And this defense has so much talent, and it's only been kind of okay. So, I mean, Daboll's on the hot seat, Shane Bowen's on the hot seat. Like, it's really kind of just time to just tear it all down and fortunately rebuild. Sorry, Giants fans. Next up, we do have the Miami Dolphins dropping down a couple of spots. Actually, it's supposed to be more than that. It's supposed to be 10. Typo. I don't care to fix that. But honestly, Miami, I mean, I just don't know what to tell you. Did this have some sort of weird culture, just some sort of inability to win or finish these games? And then you pair that with Tua, who's been absolutely dreadful so far this season. I mean, Tua turned the ball over. I mean, that's well back and truly back to being his nickname, and it's just ultimately hurting this team, especially when this defense just can't stop anybody. Now, I will say, on the bright side, at least Thursday Night Football, they were able to go into Buffalo and keep the game competitive. Division rival at this point, when everyone's talking about Mike McDaniel's hot seat, like that very well could have been one of those games where they just show up flat and get their ass kicked, and everyone's talking about like, oh, we need to fire him now. So at least he hasn't fully lost the locker room yet. But I'm just not really expecting a whole lot from them going forward. On the bright side, their schedule coming up with the Jets, Panthers, Chargers, and Browns. At least three of those games are somewhat winnable. So, I mean, there is a possibility where this team can win three of their next four, and then they're sitting at 3-4, which is looking a lot better for Mike McDaniel and his future. But ultimately, I just really don't see the world in which this becomes a playoff team, at least not at this current moment. And now next up, we got the New York Jets, who I had ranked the 31st team in the league, and now I have a bump up to 28th. So they're still not great. They are 0-3. They've lost every game this season, but at least now there's two games where they've actually showed up and been competitive, and I mean ultimately lost in somewhat heartbreaking fashion. But at least Tayrod, shout out Baker Mayfield, at least he played good and was able to kind of get this game claw back into this game. And, they were close against beating Pittsburgh week 1, so at least this offense has shown some flashes of being semi-competent. But I'm worried about, when Justin Fields comes back, how is this offense going to look? Because we got one really good week, one really bad week. And then ultimately, this defense still is not spectacular. I was already low on Aaron Glenn. I think he did a very overrated job as the Detroit Lions defensive coordinator. So far, this defense has given up 30, 30, and 30 points. I'm just not really expecting a whole lot from them going forward. But at least they've been somewhat competitive and having some of these fun, scrappy games. And Aaron Glenn, I mean, he hit that shit. He really did. But next up, Cincinnati Bengals. I really, truly thought this was going to be the year where the Bengals finally put everything together and they're okay and they're able to go full force into the playoffs. But I forgot Cincinnati fans can't have anything nice, and they refuse to invest in their offensive linemen. For one of the cities with the highest obesity rates in the United States, you'd think they'd be able to find at least one of them to keep Joe Burrow upright, but unfortunately, he goes down, turf toe, is going to be out for 3 months. So, I mean, as long as Jake Browning can hang in there and keep you afloat and Joe Burrow can come back on some miraculous playoff run, I mean, theoretically, there is a chance, but Jake Browning is also leading the league in interceptions through a game and a half. So, he's not been looking good. I will say I do think they're going to perform better than this 48-10 loss. I mean, we got the weird pick six, fumble recovery, like just one of those things where everything kind of went wrong. So I do think this is one of those, like, just burn the tapes, pretend last week didn't happen type of games. However, I do think that this is honestly best case scenario for the Bengals. Don't let Burrow come back and just suck. Get rid of Taylor and invest in this offensive line because this team needs it. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, that's super fun. But the rest of this roster needs some serious work. So I think ultimately just sucking and coming back next year with some more picks, more draft capital, more talent, and a healthy Joe Burrow, maybe they'll be able to attack the season better into next year and without Zach Taylor. Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders dropping down 6 spots to our 26th team. Week 1, they went on the road into New England, were able to beat the Patriots, and I was feeling pretty good of having this team ranked 20th. I was like, oh, dang, maybe I'm too low. And now we've gotten back-to-back performances of them looking horrible. Geno Smith, I don't know what's happened to him. He just seems like the most sporadic quarterback of all time. Out of nowhere, I thought he had a little more poise than that. And then this offensive line, I mean, I'm pretty sure I could get a tackle for loss going against the Raiders right now. Like, they've just been truly that bad. Ashton Jeanty has 145 yards after contact and 144 total rushing yards. How the hell does that even work? So, I mean, it's just been, for a Pete Carroll coach team with Chip Kelly, a lot of the investment they brought in, how is this team just not able to figure something as simple as blocking, which it's even stranger because his teams had good offensive lines going back to the John Gruden days. So I'm really kind of just confused on what's going on, but at least you still have Max Crosby, so you're not going to be like horrible, horrible. But I mean, next couple games: Bears, Colts, Tennessee, Kansas City. I mean, maybe they can win a couple and kind of keep their season still in it, but definitely don't see this team going on any sort of playoff run anytime soon. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons. Boy, have they been bad. Um, Same thing. This is one of those just burn the tapes type of games, I guess. But I was already not super high on Michael Penix. I did have them ranked 18th because I thought they were going to be kind of just okay, but no, they've been bad. Penix has been really bad, and my issues with this team and their offseason is they just did not do anything to help this offense, which already is not super dynamic. So you don't have a whole lot of dynamic playmakers. Even Bijan, great running back, he hasn't had a 40-yard carry in his career yet. You know what I mean? So like this team just does not have dynamism. Drake London, great wide receiver, no vertical top end speed, no dynamism, and that's the issue with this team. This offense is not super dynamic, and then we have Michael Penix missing throws or throwing it to the defense. Your offense is going to look really bad. And then Raheem Morris, I don't know. I don't think he was a great coaching hire either. Defense still has not been spectacular, so two sides of the ball you're not doing very well on, you're not going to be a good team. Now, at least they do have more talent and more upside than some of these other teams. So, maybe if they can keep playing like they did against the Vikings, they're going to start, climbing up the rankings. But as of right now, yeesh, I'm not expecting anything positive from them. Now, next up, we got the Cleveland Browns. 1-2 after stealing a game against the Packers. That's crazy. I actually had them coming into the season as the dead last ranked team because I thought this offense was horrible. They had a brutal schedule, and Stefanski was going to get fired, and they were going to suck. And I mean, I have been right. The offense has been bad. Schedule is still somewhat brutal, and Stefanski is probably going to get fired. But at least this defense has actually been insane this year. Myles Garrett is probably the best football player in the entire NFL. And he's really helping carry this entire team, really. This defense has been fantastic, getting after the quarterback, stopping the run, and keeping this team in games. There's a very real possibility where the Browns are 2-1 if they had actually been able to squeak that game out against the Bengals week 1. So, I mean, this has been a much better team, somewhat. The defense has been elite, which I was not expecting this defense to be elite. And the offense has been doing, they've been bad. But at least when you got, elite on one side of the ball, that means they're probably going to be at least semi-competent. So, I mean, good for them. Good for the Browns. Now, next up, New England Patriots, and kicking off our new tier of who even knows. There's a couple of teams in this tier where I just don't know if they're good or bad yet. I really do not know. From 23 to like 17, you can rank these teams almost anywhere, and I'll have no qualms about it. Starting off with the Patriots, I mean, they had a good week 2, I guess, where they were able to win. I'm already forgetting who they played in Miami, where that offense looked pretty good. Now that's 2 weeks going against the Raiders and the Steelers, where this offense has looked bad and Drake Mays had some inconsistencies. So I'm a little bit worried. And then, I mean, your defense has been fine. Like it has, I really thought Vrabel was going to come in and lead like a super elite defense, and that hasn't been happening yet. Paired with your offense kind of being mediocre, you're not going to be a very good football team. I do think they at least have more upside and have been at least a little bit better throughout more games than some of the other teams. That's why they're kind of this who we've noticed here. But I had them ranked 16th. So, I mean, I really thought this team was going to come in and be really, really strong, really, really good. And they've kind of just been bad-ish, I guess. So I don't really know. I can't really tell you there. But next up, I do have the Carolina Panthers. I had them ranked 25th coming into the season. I'm huge on the Panthers. I like Bryce Young. I like Dave Canales. Love Ted McMillan. I love what this team has been working towards, and I really want them to succeed. Coming off a huge win against a division rival. But now they're 5.5 point favorites, or 5.5 point dogs against the New England Patriots. And I think this team is better than the New England Patriots. So 5.5 points there does not make sense. Ultimately, though, this team has played like 7 quarters of really bad football to start off the season, and now they just played like 4.5 good quarters. So, I mean, there is more evidence proving to the Panthers that they're probably not great, but last year they started off slow. Bryce Young sat, and then they came back. He got his confidence back, and this team is really good down the stretch, even though they didn't win a whole lot of games. So, I mean, I think there's a legit chance that this team kind of just starts playing better going through, into the fall months of the NFL season. And then if you look at their upcoming schedule, New England, Miami, Dallas, and the Jets, that is 4 super winnable games. So, I mean, there is a legit shot where we're sitting here around Halloween and the Panthers are 5-2. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. They're going to be dropping at least one of these. But, I mean, I think the Panthers can really get to rocking and rolling. If they get confident, they get hot, who knows how far this team could go. Now, next up, I got the Arizona Cardinals. Honestly, I want to drop this team even lower. I have them going up 1 spot, but I was already super low on this Cardinals team to begin with. They're 2-1. They've beat the New Orleans Saints, Carolina Panthers. Not great opposition. The NFC South has been a punching bag for a couple of years now. And then they get their ass kicked by the Mac Jones-led 49ers, only scoring 15 points. This was another team who I was super upset with because their offense lacks dynamic playmakers. And what did they do to fix that? Literally nothing. This is the exact same offense from last year that was kind of just mid and mediocre. And they did nothing to fix it. Petzing sucks. I think Murray's starting to get to a point where I'm ready to get rid of him if I'm a Cardinals fan. I'm honestly at a point where I'm starting to think he might have been holding Cliff Kingsbury back. Because Cliff Kingsbury and Marcus Mariota just dropped 40 points. And Kyler Murray just dropped 15. Not fully ready to delve into that take, but I'm kind of getting to that point. But yeah, this offense is not good enough. And now they've lost James Conner, who is probably the best playmaker. So you got Marvin Harrison, who's struggling. Mike Wilson, who's the most kind of just bland, okay wide receiver 2 in the league. Greg Dortch has even played this year. I mean, who else do they even have? Now you're hoping Trey Benson's going to come in and give you some dynamic playmaking, which, with his inability to get on the field, how it's been, I'm not really believing in that either. So ultimately, do not like this team. They are going 1 just because I think other teams have been worse. But honestly, I would be okay dropping this team. Do not like the Cardinals or where they're going. I think Gannon is going to be on the hot seat. Petzing needs to go before the season ends. And overall, this offense just sucks. Sorry for the Cardinals rant, but I'm pissed off about this team. And now next up, I know this is crazy. I got them going up 4 after just getting their ass kicked against Chicago. But Dallas has actually been much better than I think people are giving them credit for. They are sitting at 1-2, but frankly, if CeeDee Lamb, I don't know, didn't hit his head too hard or sniff glue before the game, they would have beaten the Eagles. Like, they really were a couple CeeDee Lamb drops away from beating the Eagles. And then in the game against the Giants, it was kind of scary down the line. But Dak Prescott has played amazing through the first 2 games of the season, and having just a weird kind of game where they dropped. I'm going to give this team a little bit more benefit of the doubt, a little bit more faith in this offense. I do believe Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. When you have a quarterback of the tier of like a Dak Prescott, same thing I said with Derek Carr last season, or the season before last, when you have one of these quarterbacks who is a top 15-ish guy, you're just going to be good. And Dak Prescott, I mean, he's top 9. I mean, he is one of the best 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, for sure. So when you have a guy of that caliber, you're going to hang in there. So do I think they're going to go much higher? I don't know, because the defense is horrible. I think me, my buddies, and the local YMCA could probably go and drop 25 points on the Cowboys as well. Like, this defense has been horrendous under Matt Eberflus, but they're just lacking talent and overall kind of just a mess. But at least they can put up points and score, so, I mean, that's exciting. And now we're actually going to talk about the other Texas team, who might be the exact antithesis of the Cowboys, because the Cowboys, really good offense, really bad defense. Texans have been really bad offense, really good defense. Like, it's one of those funny little things from these Texans teams. Currently, they are 0-3, which is crazy that I have them 19th. I did have them 12th to start off the season. I actually think I have them 13th, and that's a typo, but I'm not fixing any of this stuff. I need to go to bed here soon. But I will say I do think this team is a little bit better than people are talking about. Everyone's talking about CJ Stroud regressing, sophomore slump not being good. The issue with this team is not CJ Stroud. Quit doubting CJ Stroud. He is still playing very good. The issue is this is the worst offensive line in the league, which is crazy that the Cincinnati Bengals are in the league and you somehow have a worse offensive line than them. Like, they traded away Laramie Tunsil for a bag of peanuts and did nothing to fix it, and they brought no one else in. And so that is just hurting this entire offense. And then your other playmakers, I mean, like, the rookies, you haven't got either of the rookie wide receivers involved. Nick Chubb has been fine, but you're not able to run the ball very well, and you can't block for him. So this offense needs to get some people in there who can block and know what the hell they're doing. But at least you have an elite defense, and that's going to keep them in these games. Like, this is kind of just a better version of the Browns, is essentially what the Texans are, because they have the quarterback position figured out. So, I mean, at least they got Tennessee this week. Hopefully this should be, kind of a get-right game. But then you got Baltimore and Seattle, who've been two of the best teams in the league this season. So, I mean, I think it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better. But hopefully they can kind of get some stuff going. But, yeah, they're already going to be way back behind the Colts. They're already 3 games back. So they really need to start picking up some wins and picking them up fast if they want to be a playoff team this year. Now, next up, I have the Chicago Bears. Look, I was really low on the Chicago Bears to start off. I thought Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams were going to clash. DeAndre Swift was not going to be very good. The team wasn't going to be able to run the ball. And that was true through 2 games. But now they just went into Dallas, or, home game against Dallas, kicked their ass. Offense looks really good. Woo, everybody's talking about how good the Bears are. But people forget they had 2 games of kind of being really bad. With Caleb Williams missing throws, being sporadic, not really playing within the structure of the offense. So, hey, cool trick play, flea flicker, touchdown, but let's see how you kind of start playing against non-Big 12 defenses. So, yeah, I do have to move them up just because they have been better than some of these other teams. I mean, at least through 1 game, they've shown some upside. But I still think this team kind of sucks. But, I mean, versus the Raiders, versus the Saints, I mean, honestly, I think they're going to lose to the Raiders, but I'll give you my official picks later in the week. But then bye week, Washington, I think they're going to get handed a pretty easy defeat there. And then the Saints they should beat. So, I mean, they're probably going to end up being around 3-3. And maybe people start hyping them up and then realize, oh, yeah, this team's kind of bad. But, hey, that's not up to me. I just think they're kind of I think they're bad. But they might be good. So, I mean, I don't really know. I will say it's really funny that they were 1.5-point favorites against the Dallas Cowboys, and they ended up beating them. And now the team I have next was 1.5-point favorites against the Texans and ended up beating them. The Jacksonville Jaguars at number 17 have them bumping up 12 spots. I mean, I did think this team was going to be really, really bad. I think they are kind of bad. I mean, they've won 2 games, not in very comfortable, spectacular fashion. And, I mean, they were really close to being 3-0. But this is probably the worst 3-0 football team, or almost 3-0 football team I've ever seen. Trevor Lawrence, not that good. Just not that dude. Not very good. Brian Thomas, he seems scared. He doesn't want to get hurt. So Trevor Lawrence is missing him sometimes. And then when he does hit him, Brian Thomas can't catch. Bright side, Etienne and Tutin, they've been really good. And your defensive line is still okay, but I just don't know. This team's not passing the eye test to me. I just think they're overrated. Don't believe in Trevor Lawrence. And I think we're really going to start seeing them exposed over the next month with the Niners, Chiefs, Seahawks, and Rams. I think the next month is really going to tell us a lot about this team. So at least unlike some of these other teams where, they may coast around or a little more confident that they're bad. At least Jacksonville, we're going to get to prove that they're bad when they're 2-5 here around Halloween. But next up, we are going to have a tier jump to tier 4, which is in the hunt. So I think these are going to be teams kind of in and around the playoff picture. Maybe they get in, maybe they don't. Starting off with Seattle, who have ranked 16th, going up 5 spots. Look, they are kind of an uncomfortable 2-1. So ultimately, I mean, they just beat the brakes off the Saints. but I mean, they're one of the bottom two teams in the league, so not really impressed there. Then their game against the Steelers, I really do think that the Steelers were going to get the chance to get the ball, drive down, and win the game. And then Caleb Johnson, controller batteries died, and he just decided to not field a live ball. I don't even know what happened there, but ultimately, I really do think that changed the outcome to where I think the Steelers had momentum, could have gotten the ball, went down the field, scored a touchdown to win that game. But instead, Caleb Johnson fucked them over, and then they were down, and it kind of just completely swung the momentum the other way. So ultimately, I do think that win is a little bit Mickey Mouse, and then he looked pretty bad against the Niners offense. So who really knows what this team is? I can't really tell. Sam Darnold, at least via PFF, is playing pretty well. I think he's been good. But outside of JSN, Kenneth Walker, I'm not a huge fan of the playmakers. Cup, just what is he doing out there? He sucks. Torrey Horton, he's making some plays, so maybe they can get the rookie going. I do think we need a few more weeks to really decide if the Seattle Seahawks are going to be like one of the best NFC contenders and they're legit, or if they're kind of just in the hunt tier. So I'm being cautious before I just go throwing them up the power rankings. But I do think they're going to beat Arizona on Thursday. But I do think Tampa, Jacksonville, Houston, that's going to be good kind of benchmark to see if they're kind of in that crop of kind of the middle class, or if I should have them really higher to begin with. And next up, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Nathan, the Seahawks beat the Steelers. I don't want to hear it, bro. I don't want to hear it. Listen, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, I do have them dropping. I was super, super high on them. But, I mean, the Jets, they played good offense, got down the field, were able to make a play. In the game against Seattle, they were really doing well. I think Aaron Rodgers would have gone down the field to make a play. And then against the Patriots, they made enough plays to clinch and hold the game. So ultimately, I do think this team is playing the classic Steelers brand of football where they're going to stay in these games, not make mistakes, give themselves a chance to play and win the game, and force the turnovers to clinch it on defense. Which, I mean, that's what they were doing against Seattle, but then it happened against them with the whole Caleb Johnson thing, but that's not important. I still think this team beats Seattle, make them play 100 times. I think they win 60 out of 100 of those games. Do you think Pittsburgh's a better team? Regardless, have been a little bit concerned with this defense. I mean, 30 points to the Jets, and then they got kind of blown up, but also not fully blown up by Seattle. I don't know. It was just a weird game all around. And then they played good against the Patriots offense, which is kind of bad. But on the bright side, upcoming schedule is pretty easy. So you got to go overseas to Dublin to play Carson Wentz and the Vikings. I do think that's a positive matchup for you. And then you get a bye week, and then you get Cleveland and Cincinnati, which, you know, Joe Flacco, Jake Browning, and Carson Wentz are three of your next opponents. I think that's pretty good for you. So I think they're going to be, you know, kind of, I mean, they could be 5-1. So I think the Steelers are legit a solid, near playoff team, but I do think there are other teams that I think are probably more surefire things to make the playoffs. But then the last tier, or the last team in this tier, is going to be the Minnesota Vikings, and they're going against each other, but also do think Pittsburgh is probably going to beat Minnesota, but I do think I have to trust Minnesota more going forward. I don't know, man. It's all semantics. It's not that big of a deal. But Minnesota, I don't even know what this team is either. You know, you could honestly drop them in the team below or the tier below. I wouldn't hate it. Ultimately, you still got Kevin O'Connell. You still got Brian Flores. That's going to do you a lot. We'll see how this offense goes forward. You know, they were really struggling with JJ, and then Carson Wentz comes in, and he looked fine. But there was kind of the weird, I mean, two, you know, defensive touchdowns and this, that, and the other. Isaiah Rodgers had the first perfect 99.9 game via PFF. That's crazy. But going forward, is that really going to be what's happening? Definitely no. So I guess really what is this offense? We still don't know. So honestly, I might even drop them in my head down to the bottom tier, tier 5, but that's not important right now. For now, they're kind of just in this hunt. So I do think they're still going to be a good team competing for the playoffs. But honestly, I don't even know if they're good. I really don't have a whole lot to say of great analysis. Who knows? But next tier 3, we are good. These are teams that are kind of just good, kind of just solid. Probably going to make the playoffs, probably first round exit, but hey, we're good. It doesn't matter. Starting off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, have them dropping 5 spots despite being 3-0, ultimately because this team just doesn't want to win a game. But then they do win the game, so it's kind of been weird. But it's 3 weeks in a row now where it's have to be, a game-winning drive, go down the field, find a way to squeak one out, and really games that they should have won more comfortably. This defense has not been great. I do think this offense doesn't quite seem to be firing on all the same cylinders that it was with Liam Cohen, but it's still been serviceable. I think Baker's still playing good. But yeah, just the weird, the Falcons, that game would have gone to overtime if Young Code didn't, miss the kick. The Texans, that went all the way down to the wire. And then this game against the Jets, they were winning comfortably and then blocked kick and then come back, Aaron Glenn dance, and then they get the ball back and go down the field and kick a field goal to win. So ultimately, kind of just a weird team. I think they're playing with their food a little bit, playing with fire. And when you're going against a team like the Texans, the Jets, or the Falcons, which we've already seen get ranked in lower tiers, you can get away with that. But now over the next month, you got Philly, Seattle, the Niners, and the Lions. You're not going to be able to play around and dick around and do some of that stuff and expect to win these games. So I do think that they need to kind of tighten some things up and play some smoother football. But I mean, ultimately, I think they are still a good team who's just playing a little sloppy and getting away with it against bad competition. And then next up, I got another 3-0 team dropping 5 spots, 49ers. I do think this offense is fine. I think with Mac Jones, they're still able to run pretty effectively, and I think they will get better when Brock Purdy's out there. And ultimately, I mean, they haven't even played bad or looked that bad. But I mean, now that Nick Bosa is out for the season with a torn ACL, can this team ever stay healthy? The hell are they feeding their players out there? Fucking peanut butter brittle, dude. Let's get some avocado. Let's get some superfoods or some softer grass, or I don't know what the hell is going on. But keep your boys healthy. Because this has been way too many seasons now of everybody getting injured. So I really don't know what is going on with that training staff. Like, someone really needs to start talking and be like, hey, what is going on over there, boys? But ultimately, I mean, they're still a good team. I still think they're going to be a playoff team. But they're just going through a more kind of insane injuries. And I mean, that's the reason they're being punished, not because they're on a play field. That's, if that makes any sense. But next up, got Indianapolis Colts. Danny fucking Dimes. Oh, I love Daniel Jones. I've always been a Daniel Jones truther. I always will. A couple years ago, my fantasy team was Danny Dimes F my wife because I believe in Danny Dimes. He is a legit starting caliber quarterback, but everyone wants to dunk on him because he's a goofy little white boy and kind of doesn't have aura. But guess what? He does have aura. Indiana Jones is him. Now, calm down. Look, they went against a really bad Dolphins defense, and then they played a Titans defense, which was not very good. And then the Denver Broncos game, they still played good, were able to come down to the wire and win that game. But they kind of got a little bit lucky, a little bit of a fluky win. And so I do want to kind of pump the brakes before I'm fully on the Colts wagon. I did have them ranked 23rd in our preseason power rankings, but honestly, I was really high on this team. And I did actually think if they went with Daniel Jones, they were going to have a chance to be really good and have a chance, like a legit chance to win the AFC South. If I had more balls, I probably would have actually predicted that to happen and like bumped them much higher. So I'm not surprised this team is really good. Pittman, Downs, Taylor, Warren. I mean, that's 4 really great playmakers. Alec Pierce is a really good deep threat. So I mean, that's 5 deep. So Daniel Jones, I don't need you to come in and win me the game. But just get the ball to the playmakers, let them make plays, and look what happens. He's playing with confidence. His defense is playing better. The offense is looking great. Shane Steichen is a great head coach. Anyone talking about the hot seat for Shane Steichen is ridiculous. He's a great coach, and now he needs a quarterback that isn't fuck-ass Anthony Richardson to prove it. So Overall, stock definitely up on the Indianapolis Colts. But I do think the Rams and the Chargers game is going to be a really good litmus test to see kind of how legit or unlegit the Denver or the Indianapolis Colts are. So we'll see if they're able to, play in those games or win those games. Then we'll really start bumping them up. But for now, I do want to just breaks a little bit. But at least they are the favorite in the AFC South, in my opinion. Now, next up, we got the Kansas City Taylor Swift. Um, they're in the we are good tier. Still the Chiefs. They're going to be fine. But this offense is bad. And it all circles back to Matt Nagy. You get out of here. Ever since Eric Bieniemy left, they brought in Matt Nagy. Oh, and guess what? This passing offense, entire offense, kind of just sucks now. Get out of here, Matt Nagy. Go. Get. No, but ultimately, I do think losing the creativity that Eric Bieniemy brought has really hurt. Obviously, this team's going through injuries. Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, that's two of your best receivers. Most team, when they lose their best two wide receivers, they're often 6 a hit. So, there is definitely a reason for some of their struggles. I think Kelsey just seems a little bit distracted. He's just clearly not the same elite guy he used to be. And then Pacheco and Kareem Hunt is the most ass backfield in NFL history. Dude, give me the rock at this point. I can't be much worse, and you can pay me a lot less money. I'll tell you that, Kansas City. So I do have them dropping down 8 spots. I really did think that they were going to come in this year after the defeat, pissed off, figure some things out, get healthy, and play well. And that just really hasn't happened yet. The defense has still been fine, but they do need to figure out things going forward on the offensive side if they want to keep climbing into the ratings. But, still have Mahomes, you still have Andy Reid, still have decent coaching staff, Spags on the defense. So I do think that this team is going to hang around, be a playoff team, and ultimately be fine, but not quite kind of the contending threat that we're kind of used to for the Kansas City Chiefs. Granted, in January, we'll see how the refs are feeling when Taylor Swift's at those games, but hey, we'll worry about that down the line. But next up, the Denver Broncos. I have them rising up 6 spots for a 1-2 team, which is kind of crazy. But I do think this team is, still a solid team. I think week 1, kind of that, week 1 early season jitters that most teams have. They didn't look great. But then the offense got rolling again against Indy. And then they were in there and pretty competitive against a tough Chargers team. So ultimately, the team probably should be 2-1. I do think they're just a good program, both sides of the ball. I think they stop people from scoring. They score themselves. Overall, just a good team. And now if you look at their schedule up ahead, the Jake Browning Bengals, Jets, Giants, that's 3 wins right there. Eagles, I think they have a chance to hang in there and be competitive. We'll see how that game goes. But ultimately, we're going to be looking at a team that's 4-3 and still well in a driver position to go on and be a playoff team and potentially have a chance to compete for the AFC West crown. But one more team that we have yet to discuss, so we'll come back to that AFC West conversation here in just a bit. But next up, we are going to our Tier 2, which is teams that we expect to win in January. So I think every team from here on up should be realistically expecting to win one playoff game and advance in the playoffs, hopefully make deeper runs in that if possible. Starting off with the Washington Commanders, I have them dropping 3 spots, not because they've been unimpressive, more so other teams have had the chance to kind of show more. So week 1, crappy Giants team, handle business, nothing to worry about. Week 2, they go against an absolute buzzsaw that was the week 2 Green Bay Packers, and they struggled. And then week 3, no Jaden Daniels, Mariota plays, and they kill the Raiders. So it's really hard to kind of fully tell what this team is. I still think they're really good, especially when Jaden Daniels comes back. He is, I think, next up in the conversation for elite quarterbacks. And I do think this team, once they're healthy, is going to have the chance to really kind of prove more so what they're made of. I think that Chargers game is going to be a good litmus test. And then the Falcons, Bears, and Cowboys, I really do think they should handle business there. So I think once Daniels gets going, they start playing a little bit better. They are going to show that they are a better team. than this. So ultimately, not really dropping them for anything they've done, more so just other teams have had the chance to kind of show off more and hence jump them. And the next up, we got the LA Rams. Oh, check out our TikTok. I had the Rams picked. I was looking like an absolute genius when then they were up 26-7. They had the perfect formula of beating the Eagles. Get out ahead, get the lead, and make the Eagles have to pass their way back into the game. And then you let them do it. Oh no! Oh, the Rams, what are you doing? Um, God, ultimately, super, super upsetting game. I love watching the Eagles lose. So I really wish the Rams were able to clinch it and hold on. But I mean, ultimately, you got Sean McVay, great coach. Stafford's great. Puka is still a beast. Devontae Adams is still looking good. Kyron's still looking good. This offense is still good. Defense is still performing well with Chris Shula coaching them and Jared Verse. So ultimately, still think this is a good football team. But God, it should have held on against the Eagles. Upsetting, but hey, it's okay. Next up, I do have the LA Chargers. We're going to start off, fuck you, Justin Herbert. Ooh, I'm 6'6". I play quarterback for the LA Chargers. I have $200 million. I'm dating Madison Beer. Having your cake and eating it too, Justin, I do not appreciate that. But what I do appreciate is the Chargers have been really good. I kind of thought they were in this weird tier of kind of just a good, not great team. And boy, was I wrong. They're kind of actually just elite on both sides of the ball. I think Herbert I mean, he's currently a top three MVP candidate as of right now. Based off the way voting is, he's probably the number one option, just because he's kind of the new breakout-ish guy in a way. Um, but no, I mean, the Chargers have been really good. They've done it Broncos. They've done it against the Chiefs. I mean, the Raiders don't really count. Have they only played division rivals? Did not realize that. Okay, interesting. But no, I mean, they've played really good thus far into the season. I do want to see how this team holds up against one of the more kind of true elite teams. As I said, I have them ranked above the Broncos, ranked above the Chiefs. Raiders are way the fuck down there. So I mean, I want to see how they are against a team like I guess the next five teams that we haven't ranked yet, or even someone like the Rams. I want to see how they hold up in a little bit of a more serious game. But so far, Herbert looks good. Quentin Johnson can catch the ball. Hampton looks solid against Denver. This defense is still looking really good. So I mean, stock is definitely up. I was definitely way too low, but I do want to see how they go against one of these elite teams before I'm ready to crown them as kind of one of those elite teams themselves. Now, next up, I have the Green Bay Packers. Originally had them ranked 12th. This was before the Micah Parsons trade, so man, I would have bumped him up a little bit after that. But hey, they've played really good so far to start off the season, at least through 2 weeks. But Cleveland really shut them down, and Jordan Love, some of his issues kind of showed up, and that's why I don't have this team in the Super Bowl tier. Ultimately, I mean, this defense is still fantastic. Do they go back to playing great football? This offense, though, I think is fantastic. I do think Matt LaFleur is probably a top seven-ish head coach in the league, off the top of my head. But ultimately, I think what's holding this team back from being a Super Bowl contending, like a true Super Bowl contending team, is ultimately going to be Jordan Love. And if he can be consistent, he's almost kind of like how Matthew Stafford was for the Rams, where it's like if you get good Matthew Stafford, you'll be okay. But do I trust that for 4 games? Probably not. Um, so I mean, ultimately, we'll kind of see as this team goes against kind of some more serious competition who they really are. But the next month ahead, they got a pretty easy schedule, so I don't think we're going to find that out truly anytime soon, unless Jordan Love really kind of shits the bed. But I mean, this defense is really, really good. Um, it just kind of depends on what Jordan Love, if he makes or breaks it for you. Honestly, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But next up, we got the Baltimore Ravens. I originally had them ranked fourth, so having them, I'm not dropping them just yet. Look, the offense has been fantastic, but the Ravens just have this weird ability in big games to shit the bed. This is like the most unclutch team in NFL history. Whether it's the Mark Andrew drops in the playoffs last year on the 2 point conversion, whether it's Derrick Henry fumbling against the Bills, whether it was Derrick Henry fumbling against the Lions, like they had a chance to get the ball, go down the field, score a touchdown. Derrick Henry coughs the ball up, and then the Lions go down the field. And then they need to make a stop, and then David Montgomery 40-yard touchdown rush. So, yeah, I don't know. I think this team is ultimately maxed out with Lamar and Harbaugh. I think both these guys are just not playoff risers. They're playoff chokers. This team just has this weird culture of not being able to get over the hump. And so I'm not expecting this team to win a Super Bowl. I don't have them in that Super Bowl tier. I don't trust this team come these big games to make the plays that are needed and to not shit the bed ultimately. So I know that's probably going to be controversial to a lot of people, but I mean, this defense has now allowed 38 points and 41, and then they beat the fuck out of the Browns. So are they really good? Who knows? Let's see how they play against some of these other teams, like the Chiefs and Rams coming up, before we start making giant sweeping statements on their Super Bowl chances. But ultimately, I don't see them in the Super Bowl tier. But our next tier, tier number one, is the Super Bowl tier. Expect to win in February. So I think this is teams that should have legit Super Bowl or bust expectations. And starting off with the Lions. So I still had the Lions ranked 10th coming into the season. I thought they were still going to be good, but I thought it was going to be kind of like the season for the Eagles before they hired Kellen Moore and won the Super Bowl, when it was, I meant to look it up, was it like Brian Desai or Kevin Johnson or whoever was their offensive coordinator? So I thought it was going to be one of those things where they still had the talent and the culture, but the play calling was just going to be like a little bit off, and kind of just look a little sloppy. So that's what I was kind of expecting. If this team was still going to be good, but have their struggles. And then week one, they really shit the bed against the Packers, and it was like, okay, hold on. Maybe Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn meant more to this team than we realized. And now they put up 80 points, 90 points actually, in back-to-back weeks. So, oh yeah, this offense is still really good. They still have insane talent, still got a great culture. Ultimately, I do think this defense is probably just going to get better, not having to deal with Aaron Glenn, who I think is overrated. And Jared Goff is playing much better. So, I mean, if this offense keeps up at this pace, obviously they're not going to be able to, but I do think this offense is, I mean, they're legit still. I think they're back. And if they can keep it up, I mean, this is one of the best offenses in the league, and that's something you need to win a Super Bowl. So I'd love to see Dan Campbell and the Lions get a Super Bowl. I still think it would be a great story. And so I think they're in this tier. Now, next up, I have the Buffalo Bills. Honestly, I could put a number one, and I really want to in my heart of heart. Buffalo. This is your year. The Chiefs are bad. The Ravens are overrated. You got this. This is your year. I mean, they're probably going to go lose in overtime without Josh Allen getting to touch the ball again. But no, I think they've, out of any team in the NFL, have been the most complete team. I will say the game against the Ravens was concerning, and I don't want to just gloss over that. Like, you allowed 40 points and kind of stole that. You stole that game. Like, let's be legit. You stole that game. You should not have won it. So this team should be 2-1, but at least they've had two back-to-back weeks of kind of just handling business. I do think the ultimate upside for this team is they have a cupcake schedule. I mean, they're playing the Boys and Girls Youth Club. They're playing freaking West Texas A&M University. They're playing my local high school. I mean, their schedule is straight up weak. I mean, look at this next month. Saints, Falcons, Patriots, and a bye week. Super easy schedule. So I do think the ultimate pro for this team, weak schedule, means they should be like 15-2, home field advantage in the playoffs. and hopefully this is finally their year to get over the hump and make it to the Super Bowl. And then who knows what happens once you get there. But I mean, this is legit. This is the Bills' year. This is their chance. This is your opportunity. I'm knocking on wood because that means Josh Allen's probably going to end up getting hurt now that I'm like backing up the Bills like this. But no, this is legit. The Bills season, they've been probably the most complete team so far. It's got to do the damn thing, Buffalo. It's finally your turn. Do not let us down. But obviously, that means number one team is the Philadelphia Eagles. And look, I don't want to do this. They've been weird. They've been sloppy. Something's clearly wrong. But I'm not gonna doubt Jalen Hurts anymore. He is untraditional. He's not one of these elite drop back passers. Sometimes he will make the wrong read or leave meat on the bones, but he just has this legit X factor where they can just find ways to win games. And ultimately, the tush push, I am pro ban tush push. But ultimately, that is the biggest weapon that anyone in the NFL has. And this team, I mean, they found a way now. 3 straight games, 2 of which they definitely probably should have lost, but they found a way to win games, and that's a hallmark of a good team and a good program, is to just find a way to win some games that you honestly just shouldn't. That's just one of those things. I will say, as soon as the tush push is banned, I do think Sirianni is going to end up losing his job. He's overrated. He kind of just like this weird, slimy scumbag where I think he knows he's not good, and this team's a little bit has their flaws, but he's like, oh yeah, you everyone else can. God, I hate Sirianni, bro. Oh, I hate him. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about now. But ultimately, I do think at least for this season, they can find just ways to keep winning, keep squeaking out games. That is kind of a hallmark of being a great team. But also, if you look at that's kind of what the Chiefs have been doing for last season. So that margin, they're winning real thin margin of winning right now, and so 1 or 2 more mistakes, couple injuries, that margin gets even thinner and thinner. So who knows? It's a little risky with the way the Lions are playing. I may have to drop them, the way Bills are playing, may have to drop them as well. But ultimately, 3-0, they squeaked out this game's reigning Super Bowl champions. I'm going to leave them at number 1 until further notice. But overall, that is the rankings. Go ahead and let me know what you think. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? Or am I exactly spot on? I think I am, but I'm a little bit biased. But yeah, go ahead, stick around. We got a lot of content coming your way. Go ahead and drop us a like, and I'll see you next time. Peace.